We now connected Power BI Desktop to data. Time to take a look at that data in the query editor. So again, this is probably something totally new for you. You haven't seen that interface before, you don't know what you can do right here, and don't worry. We will talk about all that throughout the course. For the moment, let me just show you how quickly you can now clean that data, then load the data into the data model, and then create beautiful visualizations. So we are in this data preparation step right here. And what you can see up here in the center, where we have our data, that the column names up there, well, those are not really good. A better column name would be the second row, because this should be the country, the subject descriptor should be the second column, and so on. To do this, we have to apply two steps. The first step is we have to delete the first row, this one right here, because we don't need that information in here. The second step then is that we have to turn this second row, which will then be the first row after deleting that current first row. So we want to turn that new first row into the header, the column names. So let's first delete the first row. To do this, we simply go to the Home ribbon right here, and then click onto Remove Rows right here, and select Remove Top Rows, like this. Now we want to remove the top rows starting from the top, which of course excludes the column names. So we simply type 1 to delete that first row and press OK. Now we see that this first row is gone. Now we want to turn this new first row into the column name. To do this, we can stay in the Home ribbon and now press onto Use First Row as headers right here. If we do that, well, then we also got this. So those were the first two steps we had to apply. And with that, we are finished with the work on our rows. Let's take a look at the columns now. So you can simply select a column, of course, and then navigate with the left and right arrow keys on the keyboard. So I think we should keep the country column, the subject descriptor, the units, and the scale. Those columns are fine. But the country and series specific notes, I don't think we need that. Now, if you want to delete that column, you simply have to select the column, what we did right now, then again stay in the Home ribbon, and then press Remove Columns right here, like this. So this column is gone. Let's now take a look at the remaining columns and see if we have to delete anything else. So those year columns are fine. We will talk about those in a few seconds though. And in the last column, yes, I think we should also delete this column. So again, we simply click Remove Columns, and it's gone. So I mentioned this year columns a few seconds ago, because I think the way we display it at the moment is not the best way. Wouldn't it be better if we change that into two columns simply? One column being named years, with all the corresponding years in the corresponding rows of that column, and a second column with the corresponding GDP data. I think so. And what we have to do right now is we have to turn these columns, so these year columns, into rows basically. So the column is named year, and all the rows in that column are the different years. To do this, we simply select the first column, the 2015 column, and now press and hold Shift on the keyboard and select the last column, like this. Now we change from the Home ribbon to the Transform ribbon up here. And now we press that Unpivot Columns function. Again, something we will talk about in detail throughout that course. But for the moment, we simply press that, like this. And as you can see, we simply turned those multiple columns into one single column with the years being single rows in that column. This was easy, right? Let's continue. Because we have to rename that columns now, because attribute and value, not the best names probably. Let's change that quickly by double-clicking onto the attribute column up here, and now name it year, like this, and press enter. And do the same thing for the GDP column, well, and name it GDP, like this. Now we got that, and now we should make sure that we only have rows in that GDP column where we have data for, because we only want to import the really important information into our data model. So we should take a look at that. Now to see if we have any NAs in this GDP column, we simply click onto that arrow right here. Now scroll down. And as you can see, we have some NAs. So if we unselect that and press OK, those NAs are no longer in that column, and by that won't be loaded into the data model when we finish the work in the query editor. You will see that, of course. Now we got that clean column here. So the only thing we have to do is we have to change the format of the data in here. Why should we change that? Well, if you look at that symbol right here, this ABC, and click it, you can see that at the moment this GDP column, or the values in that GDP column, are formatted as text. And this is not true. So we should change this. And one way to change this is if we simply change it right here from text to decimal number, for instance. And as you can see, this symbol also changed now from ABC to 1, 2 to indicate that this is a decimal number now. So this was fine, but what if you have to select multiple columns or to change the formats of multiple columns actually? Well, then you have another option in Power BI. You can simply select the first column, like this, and again select all the remaining columns, like that. Now if you go to the transform ribbon again and press detect data type right here, like this, then you can see that the format of the first 4 columns of course didn't change because, well, those are text, so this is fine. But the format of the year column changed to a whole number now, which is fine for the moment. And this is it. We now finish the work in our query editor, so in this data preparation step for our initial project. The next step now is to load that data, that clean data, into the actual data model and create visualizations.